So welcome back to another advanced math video tutorial. This time we will discuss geometric representation of complex number. So a complex number is represented geometrically in the Argand diagram. It was named after the French mathematician Jean Robert Argand. With the point Pxy, whose abscissa and ordinate are the real numbers and imaginary parts of the complex number respectively. So, kung maalala nyo, meron tayong tinatawag na Cartesian coordinate. Yung Cartesian coordinate, that is two perpendicular line, kaya lang pero silang real numbers. This time, we have geometric representation of complex number. Sabi nga, it was named after the French mathematician Jean Robert Argand. It's also called Argand Diagram, or sometimes it's called complex plane, or sometimes also called z-plane. So graphically, a complex number is represented by vector joining the origin and point P from z equals to x plus yi. And our complex number has a length z, or absolute value of z, or equivalent to r. And this is equivalent to square root of x squared plus y squared. If we observe our plot, so this is y and this is x. If we want to get the value of r, that's simply using Pythagorean theorem, that's square root of x squared plus y squared. And this is called modulus, or absolute value of our complex number. Then for our argument, what is argument? This is the angle. So the angle from the positive x-axis to point OP is called the amplitude or argument. So amplitude or argument. And that is, if we observe the graph, that's opposite over adjacent, and that is equivalent to tangent theta is equivalent to y over x, or simply that is arctan, or y over x, or tan y over x. That's inverse trigonometric of tangent y over x. And the principal value for the amplitude or argument, principal value or the principal argument is equivalent to negative 180 degrees less than arg. As we observe, arg is written in, A is written in capital letter para masabi natin to show that that is a principal value or argument. So 180 degrees to 180 degrees. The negative pi hanggang positive pi naman tayo if we're dealing with radian. And if we're dealing with degree, so that's the principal argument. Meaning kung lampas siya sa range na to, it's either we add 360 or we subtract 360. Example, we get the value of 190 degrees. So if we want to convert it to principal argument, we'll just subtract 360 degrees and we get negative 170 degrees. And as we can see, this angle is in the boundary of the principal value or principal argument. So this is how we plot point in complex number. It's just get the value of x, how many units of x, then how many units of y, then that is our point z, or the point of our complex number. So we have first example. Our first example is to plot the following complex number in the complex plane and determine the absolute value and argument. For z1 is equivalent to 3 plus 2i, so meaning our x is 3 and our y is 2. So 3, so we have 3 real part, 1, 2, 3. And for imaginary part, that is 2. So then, sila magtatagpo, that is our point z1. But in our problem, we need to find the value of absolute value. And again, in solving for absolute value, that is simply equivalent to r is equivalent to square root of x plus y. And that is x squared plus y squared, when our x is equivalent to 3 squared plus 2 squared. And our value of r is equivalent to square root of 13, or simply 3.606. So if we will check the distance from the origin to our point C1, that is equivalent to 3.606. Then for the angle, so if one get the angle, as we derive the formula from our first slide, that's arctan of y over x, and that is equivalent to arctan of y over x. Our y is 2, our x is 3, and that is equivalent to 33.69 degrees. As we observe, the angle that we get is from between 0 to 90 degrees. Kasi kung mapapansin nga natin, itong first quadrant natin is nasa 0 to 90 degrees lang. At yung sagot natin is 33.69. So that is the absolute value as well as the amplitude of our given z1. Next example is negative 2 minus 4i. So negative 2 minus 4i, so we have negative 2 for the real part, 1, 2, and for the imaginary part, that's 4. So 1, 2, 3. That is negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. So this is negative 2 and negative 4. So if we want to get the value of our absolute value, this is our absolute value r. Again, this is negative 2 and negative 4, meaning our x is negative 2 and our y is negative 4. So our value of r is equivalent to negative 2 squared plus negative 4 squared. Common mistake in solving this kind of problem is we do not include negative in the parentheses. So kung di natin sasama siya, magkakameron tayo ng error dyan. So our value of r is equivalent to 4.472. Then we get the value of our angle. For angle theta, that is equivalent to arctan of y, that's negative 4 over negative 2. And that is equivalent to 63.43 degrees. But if we will check our graph, by the definition kasi ng ating amplitude, that is the angle from positive x-axis to our point or to our line OP. So possible ang maging graph natin is ito dapat yung angle or this angle. Pero as we can see, ang nakuha natin is angle is 63.43. And that angle is equivalent to this angle. Yan. So itong angle na to, yung nakuha nating 63.43 degrees. So malayo sa ating point, di ba? Kaya ang gagawin natin dyan, kung mapansin natin, yung ating rotation is from positive axis. Pag umikot tayo ng clockwise, counterclockwise, that is positive. If we rotate counter or clockwise, that's clockwise, this is counterclockwise, you get the positive and we get negative result. If we will use the counterclockwise rotation, we can see that is 180. This is, we say that this is also 63.43 degrees. So we have 180 plus 63 is 243 degrees, and that is lampas ng ating principal argument. So we will use the other rotation. Another rotation, we have this rotation is negative 180 degrees. So we add 63.40 degrees plus negative 180 degrees kasi di ba rotation natin it is negative 180 degrees. Since hindi ito kasama, kasi ito yung ating angle na nasukat mula dito hanggang dito, so that is 63.43, and we want to measure this angle, so that is negative 180 or 63.43 plus negative 180, and that's equivalent to negative 116.56 degrees. This is our amplitude. As we observe, tama naman to kasi negative 116.56 yung ating magiging amplitude for example number 2. So for number 3, ito medyo madali. This is the easy part kasi we have 0, x, and positive 3, y, meaning we don't have value at the real part, only at imaginary part. And at imaginary part, we have 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. And if we solve for r is simply equivalent to square root of 0 squared plus 3 squared, and that's equivalent to 3. So meaning, our value of r is 3, as we expect. Kasi kung bibilangan natin, 1, 2, 3 lang. And for our angle, so that is the angle from this one, or from this positive x-axis by definition, to our line OP, or line OZ3. So what's the angle? So as we can see, we have a 90 degrees. So therefore, our angle for Z3 is equivalent to 90 degrees. So next example, so we have plot the following complex number again in the complex plane. This time we have negative 4 as x, and our I is our imaginary part is positive 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have positive 1. So this line. So what's the value of our r in this given example? So we have r is equivalent to absolute value of C4, or simply square root of negative 4 squared plus 1 squared, and our value of r is equivalent to 4.123. So this is the distance from our origin to our point Z4. So for our angle, that is equivalent to arctan, or inverse trigonometric function of y, that is 1 over negative 4, and that's equivalent to negative 14.03. Since we have a negative value, sabi nga natin kanina, mula sa positive axis, papunta yan sa dito. So kaya mapapansin natin, parang yung angle na nakuha natin ay ito lang. Negative, di ba? So negative 14.03 degrees yung angle natin neto. So ano yung sabihin yan? So negative 14.03 degrees is also equivalent dito, negative 14.03 din to. Kaya lang sabi natin, hindi naman pwedeng negative 14.03 degrees yung ating angle kasi dito mapapunta sa ating fourth quadrant yung sagot. Di ba nasa second quadrant? At kung nasa second quadrant, we expect na angle niyan is from 90 hanggang 180 degrees. Kaya lang, nakuha natin is negative 0 hanggang 90 degrees. Dito pumasok yung negative 90 degrees. Dito yung pumasok yung ating nakuhang sagot upon solving. So, ibig sabihin pala, kailangan ulit tayong mag-add or mag-subtract. So, mapapansin natin, kung ito ay negative 14.03 at itong angle natin mula sa positive x-axis ay 180, so kailangan na natin mag-add ulit ng 180 degrees. At titingnan natin kung papasok ba itong sagot natin dun sa ating boundary ng ating second quadrant. So, if we solve negative 14.03 plus 180 degrees, that is equivalent to 165.97 degrees. So, kung mapapansin natin, this angle are bounded or pasok dun sa ating boundary. So, sabihin, this is the absolute value and the argument. And kung napansin nyo, so if we have x and y pair, kung mapapansin lang natin, if we have positive, kung ano yung sagot nating makukuha sa angle, so just copy upon solving. If we have positive x and negative y, we just copy. Pero iba na pag ang x mo ay positive, x mo is negative. So, lagyan natin ng pagitan lang. Pag x mo is negative, pag y mo ay negative, ang y mo ay positive. Anong ginagawa natin sa theta? Pag x mo ay negative and your y is positive, we just add 180 degrees. If they are both negative, you just subtract 180 degrees. So, last example tayo. So, our x is 4 and our y is negative 2.5. So, we have no problem mamaya dun sa angle since yung ating x is positive. So, saan natin makikita yung 4 at negative 2.5? So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have negative 2.5. 1, 2.5. So, this is the value of our z5. And we need to find the value again of our absolute value r and our argument. So, for our absolute value, that is equivalent to r is equivalent to square root of 4 squared plus 2.5 squared, and that is equivalent to 4.757. And for our angle, the angle is equivalent to arctan of our y, that's negative 2.5, divided by 4. And our angle, again, we now need to add or to subtract 180 since our x is positive. So that is equivalent to negative 32.01 degrees. And as we expect, our angle or our boundary in fourth quadrant is from 0 to negative degrees. So this is the answer for our 5. So dyan natatapos yung ating representation of complex number.